Hi everyone, welcome to Christina's Knitting Catch-Up. I'm Christina and you can find me on Ravelry as Chrissaah, that's Chrissaah. So recently I cast on a cardigan and it's with this Angora yarn. This ball's nearly gone, but it's the Rowan Angora Haze, which I was making the Maryland jumper out of, but decided against that. So I'm making this pattern, cover up the pattern notes, the lobelia. Looks like a baby cardigan. It's not a baby cardigan, it's for a full-grown human. So this pattern is obviously a raglan shaped cardigan and it's top down, and at the raglan shaping there's actually little flower motifs that are the increases, and I'm making it out of this Angora. Oh, another thing about this cardigan, it's knit in reverse stocking stitch, so all the purl on the outside, but I'm knitting mine all the purl on the inside, so regular stocking stitch. And look, you can't see very much of this flower motif because it's Angora, it's fluffy. But let's see if I can, you can kind of see that, oh, in a way. So I've knit, as you can see, I've knit about this much, top down, so it'll go like this at the front, and then I'll have the raglan shaping off to each side. It's a bit squished up on my needle. I don't have a larger needle in this size. So it's turning out really lovely and fluffy and very, very soft. And I have decided that this cardigan is going to be for good. I'm not going to wear this to work, to teach, or to the shops, unless it's some kind of fancy shop like Chanel. Not that we have them here. But this cardigan is going to be for good, so I can wear this to church or I can wear this to the opera, but I'm not going to wear it just around the house to muck around. And the reason for that is because the yarn actually snaps pretty easily. I was quite disappointed with how easily it snapped. Let me find an end so I can show you. Here's a little end, you can see this little end. I'll just pull on it, comes off. So that's good if you want to break your yarn a lot. If you can hear that thumping, it's some nonsense outside. I live in a complex, so there's a lot of complex noises. So that's my lobelia cardigan, and I'm really loving doing this. It's really fun to do these little lace increases. So the lace increases go from the neck to the underarm, and then it's knit straight down. And you can probably tell that this is a cropped cardigan with a short sleeve. I am going to do a long cardigan with a long sleeve because I would like to wear it with trousers, because I wear trousers all the time. Although if I'm going to church or the opera, I might not wear jeans. So there's a bit of a catch-22 there, so not sure what's going to happen. Another thing I finished last week were my socks that I've been knitting, my anatomically correct socks. So here they are. You can see that one is left and one is right. And there's my heels. This was made with the Regia colour 4-ply, which I thought looked really good in the shop, but I think it looks a little bit more like camo now. So I knit the cuff fairly long, but I think next time I'm going to knit it even longer. And also I think next time I'll knit a 1x1 rib, because this one just sort of flops out a little bit at the top and isn't as elastic as I want it to be. Yeah, it's not very elastic. It's almost the same as the rest of the sock. So I'll knit a 1x1 next time. This was the Fish Lips Kiss heel, which is a favourite. And next time I make socks, I might make a couple of tweaks to the toe area, but I am going to make left and right socks from now on because they fit so well But I'm also going to try an afterthought heel next time. And next time I shall be using this yarn, which is a sparkly red yarn, which you can't see the sparkles. Ah, there you go. You can see the little bits of silver in there. In the sun, it just looks incredible. Amazing. It's like a disco ball on your feet. Well, it will be. So for this pair, oh, and this is Fiberweb's Sparkle Sock. And Fiberwebs is a Canberra-based dyeing company. What was I going to say? Yes, so for the next pair of socks, I will knit them toe up again, but I'm going to change my toe increases a little bit, perhaps. I'll have to think about that for a while. And so toe up, then I'm going to do an afterthought heel, and then I'm going to do a 1x1 rib for the cuff, and it's going to be longer. Hopefully. Maybe I'll just knit until I run out of yarn. How's that for a plan? That's a plan. Oh, except I have to make sure I have enough yarn left for the afterthought heel if I'm doing an afterthought heel. Complex problems. Okay, so that is the plan with that. So, also on the go, I've still got my fallow jumper, and I spent quite a while this week knitting the sleeve because I got a little bit tired of doing the lace in the sweater body because it's just a bit tedious. It's beautiful, right? That's lovely. And I think I'm about halfway through the lace, so it'll be slightly less than twice this, and then it splits for the sleeves, which are here. And it was really good to take some time off that to do the sleeves, because it just reminds me how much I love this yarn. It's a beautiful 100% alpaca from Murrumbateman, which is a very small town near where I live. And it's an alpaca farm there called One Tree Hill Alpaca Farm. And they sold this to me at a local craft fair. It's just slightly variegated. It's just lovely. So I love that. I can't wait till it's done. I'm going to wear it and it's just going to be the best, okay? So also this week I completed the shawl-collared cowl by Alana Dacos, which is this, but you can't really see what it is until I do up the buttons, so I'll just do them up. This was made from some hand spun that my good friend Violet made for me, and it's this lovely purpley colour. There, you can... Sorry. There you go, you can see how that works now. It's lovely, lovely cowl. How about I put it on? I must be the only person in the world that takes off my shawls over my head. Tell me if you do that. You sort of tuck it into your coat so it looks like you're just wearing this lovely jumper. And then it's got a little collar. Isn't that nice? Yeah, it's lovely. It's a little bit, what is it? It's a little bit itchy, but I'm okay with that. I'm just happy with that. I think it's lovely. It's going to be nice and warm when it's spring. It's still a little bit cool to wear something this small around my neck. I think today it's about 12 degrees, so not really very warm. In fact, I'm recording in a different place in my house today. I'm recording on the stairs because my heater is actually under the stairs and it blows up through the stairs. So this is a nice place to sit. Sometimes I get a blanket and I sit on the stairs with the blanket on top of me, and it's like a tent that just keeps the warm in. It's just beautiful. So now I'll tell you a little bit about what I've been doing this past week. I had a concert last Thursday where all of my students performed in a little student concert, and I accompanied most of them, and they did okay. They were okay. Some of them were very nervous, and some of them played fine but were still disappointed with their performance. But like when you've performed as many times as I have, you start to be a little bit more philosophical about performances. And when you are in the middle of a performance and you do something terribly ridiculous, you just think, oh well, and you move on with things. Whereas kids, I teach high school and primary school students, when they make a mistake in a performance, it really gets to them, and you can see that they're making a mental log of all of the mistakes they've made, and they start to get really stressed the further along they go, and they're counting and they say, oh, I've made a mistake, it's ruined now, and then they keep making mistakes. Whereas when you're more experienced, you can make a mistake and just let it go, and you might think about it later, but in the performance you've got to be right where you are in the music, and not be thinking about what has just happened or what might happen in a minute. So that was good to do that. I have another performance on Sunday this week where I have to play with the school bands, which will be fine. They just needed someone because they didn't have enough players in my section, so I'll just go in and play on Sunday. And that's about it. Today, Mum and I went to this craft and quilt show, which I'll put a segment with my haul afterwards. So we had a really lovely time. It was really fun to go out with my mum. We also went to Lifeline book donations, I guess. I had a big box of books, and she had about 3 big boxes of books that we donated to Lifeline. And this is because, like a few vlogs ago, or maybe last time, I said that I liked the book about tidying and decluttering your life. And so I have got rid of a whole lot of books that I don't use. And some of them were craft books, like How to Sew and things like that I just don't need anymore. And it just felt great to give them away. And for those who don't know, Lifeline is actually a phone counselling service. So if you're depressed or something in Australia, you can ring up Lifeline and someone will counsel you if you're feeling suicidal or need someone to talk to. And they are not government funded or anything, and the way they raise money is by selling secondhand books. And so people go and donate their books to Lifeline, and they have this big warehouse that's just full of old books. And once or twice a year they do an enormous sale where people queue up for hours to get into this sale, and it fills out an entire gigantic hall. In fact, the same hall that was hosting the craft fair today. So it's a really good charity to donate your books to. So that's what we did. And maybe that can be something I really like this week, is Lifeline, because they do good. But I have one other thing that I really like this week, seeing as how I'm getting rid of stuff. The other day I donated 3 blankets. I had made these blankets months ago to sell at a craft fair, and I didn't sell them. I sold some other stuff, but I didn't sell these 3 blankets, and they were sort of big enough for a couch. If you're sitting on the couch, you can snuggle up in these blankets. And I didn't sell them, and they were taking up space in my cupboard, and I took them to St John's Care, which is a charity run by St John's Anglican Church just near me in Reed. And they help poor people, basically. They help poor people. If you're really poor or desperate or need food or need shelter, maybe they don't do shelter, but if you need stuff, need help, advice, then you go to St John's Care. And I donated those 3 blankets, and I donated some like tins of baked beans and tins of tuna, because they give away this stuff every day. They're helping people in need. And I asked the lady there, what sort of stuff do you usually use the most of, so that if I'm going to the shop, I can buy some for you. And she said they use pasta sauce, toothpaste, sanitary pads, and tins of tuna the most. So I just thought, how dreadful to be a woman so poor that you can't afford pads. And so I went to the shop and I bought an extra packet of pads. So next time I go, I can help them out with that. And that was good in two ways. It cleared out my cupboard, and that sort of frees me a bit. But also, I hope I can keep someone warm this winter, because it is a very cold place to live here. So yeah, that is something that I really like. Two charities, Lifeline and St John's Care. Both of these places are not government funded. They are reliant on donations entirely. So always a good thing to do is to donate to these places and help those less fortunate. Let me think, what else have I got to say? I've told you what I've done this week. I've told you what I really like. Coming up is my little haul video. I'll just give you a preview of what I bought. Woo. And I've told you what's coming up on my needles, my lovely socks. I think that's it. So just one little shout out. I want to shout out to Andy J, who runs the Wonderwool podcast, which is another Canberra-based podcast. I haven't ever met her, but she's in this the Knitting Guild, so maybe I'll go along to that sometime and hang out. And she said in her podcast that the title Wonderwool is a pun on wonderful, but I got to tell you that when I saw it, I thought that it was a reference to the Oasis song Wonderwall. So after all, you're my Wonderwall, you're my Wonderwool. So I thought that's what it was. So never mind. That's kind of funny. And I've been watching her podcasts, and it's nice to see somebody else in Canberra. And it's funny because all the podcasts I watch are from people all over the world. Like, got a British one, we've got a American one, few American ones from other places, and I can see that she talks like me in a way. So that's kind of funny. Just compared to the other ones, she talks the most like me, obviously, because we're from the same place. Yeah, I think that's all I had to say. Have a really lovely week. Acquisitions. Now, I don't buy yarn all that often, but I do buy yarn at special events. And today I went to the Canberra Craft and Quilt show with my mum, and we just got home. This is my home. And I wanted to show you all the things I bought before I get into them and start using them. The Canberra Craft and Quilt show is obviously mainly craft and quilts, so there's a minority of yarn related things, and it's mostly quilting, patchwork. There's also a big exhibition of quilts that have gone into a competition and won prizes, and there's lots of scrapbooking stuff and things like that, things that I'm not really interested in. I'm not that big a fan of quilts, but there you go, each to their own. So I bought quite a bit of yarn, but I'll start with a couple of things that I bought that are not yarn. So first thing I bought were these little earrings that I got from my mum because it's her birthday soon, and they're clip-on earrings. She doesn't have pierced ears, and she always finds it very hard to find earrings, so they were really cute. They're just little buttons, really. So they're lovely. I also got a fabric pen, which is kind of expensive, $6.50. But I got that from a good shop, so I think that will work well. I do quite a bit of sewing, not quilting, but sewing. Okay, now on to yarn. So we went with a purpose. My mum wants me to design and create a sort of double-sided scarf that's lace for her. So we went wanting to get a silver yarn for that. silver because she wears a lot of red and a lot of black, and that's sort of a colour that we thought would be a nice contrast to those colours, but it wouldn't clash. Also, silver goes with everything, so that's nice. So I also got a lot of yarn for me. So the first place we went was this place called Alt Yarn, where all of the yarn was made with community-based projects as the makers. So the yarn I got was yak yarn, the rocking yak, 100% Tibetan yak. And it doesn't feel that soft, but I think it'll soften up when I knit something and wash it. And this is a 10 ply or worsted weight. I got 2 of these. And this yarn was made by Tibetan women in a women's program. So I was really happy to support that. It was quite expensive. I think it was $32 each. So I spent $64 on this yarn. But I'm not too unhappy with that. It's yak and I'm supporting the Tibetan women's community. So I think that's nice, right? That's lovely. Exotic yarn waiting to be crafted into luxury. Your purchase helps support rural Tibetan women living on the Tibetan Plateau. So that sounds good. Snow Mountain series. And the brand again is the Rocking Yak. But these women at Alt Yarns, all of the yarns they sold were with community projects. So there was Misty Alpaca, which is made by people in Peru, and there was one that I didn't buy, but it was cashmere made by Afghan women as well. So that was another lovely project to help women. And I got a free pattern with this. It's just a lace scarf pattern that looks quite cute. I might or I might not use that. I'm not sure. I think this looks like my husband. Not literally, he doesn't look like a ball of wool, but this colour looks like it would suit him, so I'm thinking about it anyway. The second thing I got was this lovely red yarn, a deep red, and this is possum yarn, touch possum yarn. So I've actually used this yarn in the past. I used it to make myself a little scarflet, and this is actually the one I made was a different blend and thickness. So this is merino wool 60%, possum fur 30%, and silk 10%. So it's 100 grams and it's 420 meters. So that makes it like a fingering weight, 4-ply, but it actually looks quite a bit thicker than a 4-ply. And I think that's just because there's a lot of air in here. It's very squishy, lots of air, bouncy sort of yarn. And last time I used the possum, I found it's got a few kind of guard hairs in it, but it's very soft and lovely. And it's made in New Zealand because in New Zealand, possums are a pest. And you're allowed to, well, I suppose they're allowed to kill them and skin them for yarn and other type goods. Here in Australia, we don't kill possums. They're a native species and we keep them that way. But somehow they got over to New Zealand and they're causing absolute havoc over there. A bit like rabbits here. So, lovely possum yarn. Very happy with that. Lovely colour. I'm not sure what I'll make with this. Something for me, I think. Alright, 2 more things I bought. I think, yeah. So then I thought I would make Mum's thing out of this. Bellevue wool. No, Bellevue Park wool. And this is a 4-ply, 50 grams, superfine merino. And the interesting thing about this stall was that they had all of the fleeces there that you could actually buy or look at or whatever. And it's 18 microns, the merino, which the guy said was very thin. It was a farmer there, which was lovely. And this feels so soft. I don't think I've felt merino this soft, so it's super duper lovely. It is hand wash, and it's 238 meters for 50 grams, so that's a significant amount. But again, it doesn't look thin enough to be a 4-ply to me. It looks more like a 5-ply, but that's what it is, and it's very squishy. I got 3 balls of this, originally thinking I would make Mum's scarf with this, but I decided against that, and I'm going to make a Playful Stripes cardigan, which is by Alana Dacos. I'm always making her things, aren't I? Because my good friend is pregnant, and she's going to have a baby in around January, which is unfortunately a very hot time, so I shall make the 3 or 6 month size Playful Stripes cardigan out of this. And the Playful Stripes cardigan is called that because it has stripes all around the round yoke. So I thought this is a lovely grey base colour for the cardigan, body of the cardigan. And I liked the grey because even if it gets a little bit dirty, it'll still look fine. So you won't have to wash it every 5 minutes like you would if it was white. Unfortunately, it's hand wash, but my friend is a knitter herself, and I'm sure that she would be happy to receive something so nice. And it's just so soft. So I thought for the yoke of that cardigan I would get a self-striping yarn so that I don't have to weave in 10,000 ends. So there you go. And the last thing I got is what I'm actually going to make Mum's scarf out of, which is a Divine 74% baby alpaca, 26% silk. It looks like mohair. It's not mohair. So here's the end. So you can see that it's quite fluffy. But I wonder how strong it is. Let me see if I can. But I can't pull it apart. So that's good. I'm really relieved about that. Yeah. So isn't that beautiful? I got 3 balls of this, and this looks silvery because the alpaca, I think, is this grey colour, and the silk is a little bit of a lighter colour, which gives it a kind of silvery effect. Camera doesn't like that. So that's what I bought at the Canberra Craft and Quilt Show. Yay! A lot of grey. But that's okay. Grey's okay. So that's my haul video. So thanks for watching.